you take the lead in communicating to the American people out of the White House with the help of those serving in Iraq who are coming back to report on the real success, so that the American people are better informed instead of getting the negative treatment such as General Petraeus received from the liberal leaders in the House and Senate.
One of the most revealing and disappointing developments during this campaign season was to see MoveOn.org suggest that a man who is putting his life on the line, living in Iraq, there is no safe place in Iraq. Living in Iraq is dangerous. There are missiles and rockets that come into the most safe areas, the green areas. He is living there. He's living there because he believes in this country and he's fighting for our lives and our safety. For them to say that he would betray us is an outrage. And then to have Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama refuse to distance themselves and to call that kind of outrage and infamy what it was a surprise to me. I also agree that the president has a responsibility of commander-in-chief, but also educator-in-chief. And I remember remember when Ross Perot was running for president, he had those charts, you know, and he'd show you those charts, and we laughed at them, but you know, he did teach us some things. I can't remember all the things he taught us, but it's important for the president to teach the American people what's going on and to be honest about the successes and the failures. Now, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was before my time, but my parents used to talk about fireside chats and talk about the successes and the failures. And we got to be honest about what we face and make sure people understand why it is we're there. And for me, in Iraq, the minimum level of success is we don't want to have safe havens for terror, like the Taliban opening up their doors as they did to Al-Qaeda. That is something we simply will not allow. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, right here, Linda.
Real quickly, I want a president I can respect, and I want the rest of the world to respect my president, and that's you, sir, that's you. Now, a fun question. What are your two favorite spectator sports? Watch on TV or in person?
Okay, what are my two favorite spectator sports? My best is watching my boys fight over dinner. I got 5 boys, and they're our favorite meals. My favorite meal is meatloaf cakes. Now, you might wonder, I get these, they're about this long. They're little meatloaf cakes that my wife makes, and she puts a sweet sauce in it, cinnamon, ketchup, you know, that's very good on the top, and then we have mashed potatoes and corn on the cob, and a couple of other little goodies there, cornbread and so forth. That's my favorite meal, and when that's on the table, you know, we have fights over who gets how much of what. No, now seriously, what's my favorite sport? I love baseball. I have to be honest with you. I love baseball. You know, if you're from Boston, the Red Sox, the Red Sox are just such a big deal in Boston. I've fallen in love with them, and they're only 1 game away from being eliminated, but hopefully they'll pull it out here. And, you know, I love watching a good football game, too. You know, college football I enjoy college football even more than the pros to watch. There's so many sports. Of course, I love the Olympics, too. I have to be honest. That's watching the Olympics, and you had a wrestler, didn't you, who got a medal? Joe Williams, is that his name here? A couple of years ago. What is it about wrestling in this state? I don't know what it is. You got some great wrestlers in Iowa, and so I like watching sport. I wish I were better at it myself. That's the honest truth. I wasn't the world's greatest athlete. If you hadn't heard that, you might think, well, you're tall enough. You're 6'2". You must have been good at basketball. No, not really. I wrestled. In the, I think, 7th and 8th grade, first couple of grades in high school, and I was about the same height I am now, but I just weighed about 50 pounds less. And you know, guys would look across and say, now here, I'm wrestling that guy, they look at me and say, you're kidding me. That guy looks like a string bean. And so when I took on the Olympic job, my sons saw the irony, that the guy who was such a mediocre athlete would become the person in charge of the premier sporting event in the world. And my oldest son, when he saw it in the paper, he knew it was coming, but when he saw it in the paper, he said, Dad, I talked to the brothers this morning. We've seen USA Today, and we want you to know there's not a circumstance we could have conceived of that would put you on the front page of the sports section. And I was there. Thank you for that question. Yes.
They're from Davenport. I'm going to shift from before into a more domestic issue, and it is with higher education and our taxes. Right now in this country, we have the federal Pell Grant system and also the HOPE credits and lifetime learning credits for funding your higher education. And right now, the Hope only goes for the first 2 years, where the lifetime learning goes for other, and it does not include stuff like your books, which right now for any college person, the amount for books are just going through the roof, and for other expenses. And my question is, do you have any vision for what you would like to do? Because the Hope covers for the first 2 years at 100%, but lifetime earning only goes for 20% of how much you spend directly to the institution. And for people that, you know, are non-traditional students or middle-class families, this is a concern. And as a parent, and also as a senior at the University of Iowa, it's a big issue because I still have a graduate school. I'm wondering what you would do to fix those kind of loopholes to encourage people to become doctors and lawyers and get a degree in engineering and stuff that would actually improve our chances of competing in a global market.
Let me tell you a couple things that I've done and that I have in mind. One is my plan to allow middle-class families to save their money tax-free means that moms and dads that have kids know that they can save their money and it's going to roll up and grow without having to pay taxes on it. I want to see us save more so that kids have an education nest egg they can use when they get to college rather than just having to borrow when they get there. So one, tax-free savings for all Americans earning $200,000 a year and less is designed to help people be able to pay for their own education and not have to borrow it from government. Number two, I like the idea of rewarding excellence. Now, when I was governor of Massachusetts, we had a program for the poor to help them go to college, which is great and a valuable thing to do. But I also wanted to have a program that supported middle-class families and kids who were doing real well. And so I fought and got instituted something known as the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship. And that is, if you graduate in the top quarter of your high school, and we measure that by taking a statewide exam, you graduate in the top quarter, you get an Adams Scholarship, 4 years tuition-free at the state university or state college of your choice. Now, fees are even higher in Massachusetts than tuition, but it's a big indication that we support excellence. And finally, I like the idea of linking the level of support that we're able to provide to young people going to college to the contributions they're going to make to our society. And I don't have a great plan for doing that right now, but one way we did do that in our state that made a difference was this, and it seems kind of narrow, but I like the principle, and that is, we were noticing that our National Guard enrollment was going down every year, a few percent every year. And the legislature and I came together with a bill we called the Welcome Home Bill, and it said, if you sign up for the National Guard, we'll give you a 4-year tuition-free and fee-free scholarship to any one of our state institutions of higher learning. Because you're making a sacrifice by serving in the Guard, we're going to make a sacrifice